Let's talk about unpaid speaking gigs. Are they worth it? Are they a complete waste of time? Can they actually be a smart move for your business? Now, the truth is, unfortunately, not every single opportunity is going to come with a paycheck, but that doesn't mean that it can't hold value for itself. And we are going to be talking all about that. Welcome back to the Leicy podcast. I am so glad that you're here. Now, as part of my sought after speaker system course, I've been interviewing event hosts and speakers to get the realities behind getting booked. And yes, sometimes that includes unpaid speaking gigs and opportunities. Inside the course is where you're going to find all of these conversations completely uncut, unedited. But today I have pulled together some of the highlights to share with you here to help you think strategically about whether or not an unpaid speaking gig is going to be worth saying yes to for you. Now, inside this episode, you're going to hear how different speakers and hosts decide whether or not that unpaid speaking gig is worth their time. They're going to be weighing the costs of travel to looking at the audience that they're going to be getting in front of and valuing all of the relationships that they can build along the way. And they're going to be sharing all of that inside information and how they make those processes happen with you here. So let's jump in. First up is Jordan Gill, who had a heavy speaking year, and she's sharing how she decided which unpaid opportunities to say yes to. How do you decide, if a speaker opportunity is worth it if it's unpaid? Because I know that you do speak as well. And as you mentioned, this year was the speaker heavy year for you. If you're comfortable sharing, how did you decide which ones, or were they all compensated? And if not, what was your deciding factors?
Yes. So I had 11 speaking gigs this year. I don't think I'll do that again. It's been glory.
And were they all outside of your city? Like you had to travel for all of them?
Only one was in my city. So yes.
Okay.
But they all sounded so fun and I would have gone to them anyway.
It's fair. I've done it. I get it.
Okay.
I've been there.
Yeah. So I'm like, la, 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 to all events. Cause I'm just like, don't tell me because they're fun and I get sucked in. Yeah. So only one wasn't compensated in any way, meaning that my hotel wasn't covered, no travel, no stipend, no nothing. I would still do that event again. I knew that going into it, obviously, and whatnot, but it was really aligned. I knew that the people in my audience were my people. And so I said, okay, again, I think of it as a marketing expense. So I just think, okay, out of my marketing budget, I'm going to pay to go and be at this event. So the rest of them varied in actual compensation, but generally it was travel was covered, meaning that my hotel was covered and my flights were covered. Only one that my hotel is covered and flight is not. So again, for me, my whole thing with speaking is it's marketing. Because it's okay, I could spend it on Facebook ads or I could spend it on a flight to go to an event and be in a room full of exactly who I want to be in front of, right? So so the actual numbers vary on the flights, right? I mean, I've been to LA a few times, New York, Boise, Idaho. What was that? 30B or 30A or something in 30A. Florida. Yeah, I'm like, wow, there's numbers in here. It's like algebra again. I was just this is crazy. Nashville, Dallas, Austin, Chicago. I think that's it. So Raleigh, North Carolina. So there's been a lot of flights, which I don't necessarily like flying, but I will do it to get to my destination. But
I will do it. Yeah, that makes so much sense. Okay, thanks for sharing that, because I always like to get the perspective of what makes it worth it to you. And I think it's just super helpful for other people to hear too, all of that. We talk about it in the course kind of in depth, but I always like to just hear, as somebody who's been in both seats, as the host and as the speaker, to be able to see kind of what goes into your thought process. Jordan's perspective is such a good reminder. Sometimes speaking at the right event can be more powerful than pouring the same money into ads. Next, you'll hear from Elizabeth Henson, who breaks down how she evaluates unpaid gigs, especially when travel is involved. In your opinion, as a speaker and as a host, what makes that speaker opportunity worth it when it's unpaid? What goes into your decision-making process?
Yeah, for me, if it's local, it's a no-brainer. I will speak to any group of
I
any
agree.
size, if it's local and if it's like my ideal client. Now, when travel's involved, it's a little bit more difficult because I kind of need to see proof of concept that
Yeah.
these are going to be my buyers, right? I need to really feel convinced that I'm going to be able to monetize the audience because I've seen it go both
Mm.
ways. I've done spoken at events that like I didn't expect to go well and then it went really well. And then I've spoken at an event
Yeah.
that I thought these were going to be my people and like crickets. So I'm still kind of, figuring out the best way to measure that. But as someone that has a funnel that knows that when I get on stage, I make money, it usually is just a matter of, is it going to outweigh the cost of the room and board and flights and so forth?
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense. Do you have things that you put in place in order to see that funnel work that you think other people potentially don't or miss the mark on? How do you ensure that sale is going to take place on the back end?
Well, most of the time, if I'm speaking on someone else's stage, I'm not going to actually make a pitch, right? So, what I
Right.
have built into the keynote that I use the most often is just a simple quiz. And
Mhm.
that quiz I know has a really good conversion rate based on people in the room. I think it's like about 65% of the room will take the quiz. And
Yeah.
then probably 10 to 15% of that are going to opt in to kind of like the next step of the funnel, which then if I
Mhm.
get one sale into my program, usually that is at least double what it would, cost me to get out there, depending on where it is. So,
Right.
there's not a big barrier there. It's like if I get one sale from an event, it's usually worth my time because I do
Yeah.
higher ticket offers. So yeah, but I build a quiz in so it doesn't feel like a pitch. It doesn't feel heavy at all. It's
Yeah.
built right into my talk. It's a super valuable talk either way. And that kind of makes it feel, better for the host too. So I'm not like some random person up there selling.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. We definitely don't teach like the hard sell in our program. It's all about like getting people into your ecosystem and then kind of growing it from there.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because I feel like with the speakers that I work with, they don't really struggle to make the sales on the back end, but
Right.
and they all take different approaches, which I think is really interesting too. And they sell things at different price points. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
with yours being such a high price point, it makes so much sense that it would take like that one sale is worth it.
Yeah.
But a lot of my clients will have anywhere from like a $200 to $1,000 offer, and they may need to make more. And so in that respect, it's always interesting to hear like what people use to like lead into that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they would just hopefully have a good ascension model. So even if they get that $200 sale, they know 6 months or a year from now, that's going to turn into, whatever else or word of mouth or referrals or whatever it might be. I mean, the biggest mistake I see, and this, is that people just want to go on podcast tours and they want to get on more stages, but they don't actually have a sales machine that works. So they're just getting exposure for the sake of
Yeah.
exposure and it's not helping them make money.
Right. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I love that. You need it actually built out before you start doing things for free because then it's not actually going to pay off. Elizabeth makes such a strong point. If you don't have a sales system in place, unpaid opportunities won't ever turn into profit. Amber Hasley is sharing her take on unpaid opportunities and why she often thinks about the long-term relationships as the biggest ROI. If you were somebody who was trying to make it something profitable, but it was an
Yeah.
unpaid speaking gig, like what else would there be any other factors that you would take into consideration for deciding like, is this one opportunity worth it for me to go to, even if it's unpaid?
I I think so. Like I don't know. I'm a smart businesswoman, so I don't know. Like I will take all. I take that back. Are the right people in the room, right? Like I want to make sure that like if I'm going to go into the room, I'm like going to go and make sure that like is this worth my time?
Yeah.
Are the right people in there? Am I going to get the right exposure? Because also I'm thinking too of who are the other speakers that I'm up there with, right?
Yeah.
How can I make connections with them? How can I be like, deep in relationships and friendships? Because then that's an opportunity for me to, know a bunch of people now that can be on my podcast, right? There are other people that I can like collaborate with on other projects. So I guess it's a privilege. I'm going to say that like up front, because some people could be listening to this right now and roll their eyes and they're like, no, like that's not my reality. I need to be paid for every event I do. So like I respect that.
Yeah.
I think on the other side is now that I'm a level in my business that I'm looking at every opportunity of like, how can I deepen relationships? How can I connect with more people and be in rooms that I'm not like normally in, you know, around different people and see what happens, because I think it's so valuable and so powerful that will be worth my time. I also think too is I am the type of speaker, like if I'm putting on my speaker hat right now, is that like I am a big believer in like I said, serving, right? But I am the person, I was just talking with Kathy Olson about this the other day on a live Instagram. We were talking about, she's like, Amber, I realized that because I had gone to your event so many times and you had always been very like, you know, she said it was the rule. I'm like, it's not actually the rule. I'm like, always been very encouraging, like, hey, stay the whole time. Like if you can, stay the whole time, like show up, come to the sessions, like be a part of the experience. Don't just like come and leave. Right. Yeah. And that's because that was something that I saw in a lot of rooms that I was going into in my early years of business as an attendee. And I'd be like, wow, they don't even really care. Like they're just here and then they're piecing out. Like this was just a check, like a checkbox for them, maybe a paycheck, like whatever it is, you know, and they'd leave. And it was so disappointing, like, because a lot of these people I had followed online for years and had looked up to, and I'm like, oh, they don't even really like care about like being part of this experience. And so Kathy was like, Amber, I realized like now I go and speak in other places and like they're shocked. The organizer and host is shocked that I'm like, I'm going to be there the whole time. And she's like, I realized that other people don't do that. She's like, I was the last at a recent event she was at. She's like, I was the only one that stayed the whole time till the very end. And she's like, you know what? It was awesome. She's like, I then got to have like table conversations with different attendees. I could go do deep dives with them on their funnels and their like sales stuff. And like, she's like, I loved it. And I got something out of it too. And I thought, yep, that's exactly like how I'm glad I modeled that behavior for her. And then now she's seeing the impact of it. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I love that. I feel like people, I love staying the whole time. If I'm going to show up somewhere and travel, I'm going to stay.
Right. And like, and because there's something for us to learn. Like I don't know everything. Like I can learn new tricks, and it doesn't matter what the topic is. I was like, I can learn a new trick here.
I love how Amber framed it. It's not just about the stage time. It's about staying present for the entire event and deepening those connections. And finally, Kristina Bartold explains why access to other speakers and attendees can make an unpaid gig absolutely worth it. In your opinion, as somebody who speaks and hosts speakers and select speakers, what makes a speaker opportunity worth it to you if it's unpaid?
I would say access to other speakers. So that would be a big thing. It's like I love like a speaker dinner or like a networking opportunity or something like that. That's actually led to other speaking opportunities for me. So I've been really grateful for that. Are they my ideal client in the audience? So would they join my membership or would they do done for you services? Like that would make it worth it for me. And I like to be involved in the event in some capacity. So like whether that be, I stay for the event. That's typically like part of it for me. And I'll tell you as a host, like I have had speakers pop in and pop out, especially with like breakout rooms and stuff. I see a huge decrease in who comes to the breakout room.
Yeah.
Because they're not part of the experience. So I like to show up and like be there and like meet people. And so, yeah, it's really about the like exposure opportunity. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that makes so much sense. Thank you. Kristina's insight is so good. Sometimes the real value is in the doors that open after the event. Now let's hear from Jamie and Heather, co-hosts, collaborators, and two incredible educators who bring a thoughtful, strategic lens to speaking opportunities. Now they've both experienced unpaid speaking gigs from every angle as event hosts and as speakers deciding when to say yes or no. What makes a speaker opportunity worth it if it's unpaid? Like how do you, not only as hosts, but like how would you recommend that thought process going for somebody who is applying for a speaking engagement that is unpaid? Like how do they determine what's worth it and what's not?
So I think a big thing, and I'm going to say this, we both have slightly different answers.
I love that. Yeah, I want to hear both. Yeah.
So for me, I look on the side of what season of your business you're in education-wise, because I think my answer would be different like when I was first starting versus where I'm at now. So for now, I think there's kind of a two-part thing that I look for. One, am I in front of an audience that is full of like my ideal clients? So that not that I'm going to get paid at that speaking engagement, but can I make connections while while I'm there with attendees, that they want to start following me and then potentially get some of my products in my shop or my resources or work with me one-on-one. So that's a big one. Like, what connections can I make while I'm there with the attendees to show them who I am, what I teach on, and that they want to continue a conversation. And then the other side of that is, what connections can I make with other educators while I'm there that can push me forward or connect me with someone else that can then grow my business on that side. So I think it's both sides. It doesn't always have to be a payment right then, but in the future, how can that make revenue for you?
So I feel the same way about that portion of it as Heather. I think at a baseline, those are the things that need to happen. Some form of compensation, whether it's immediate or later, but you are doing the work. And I think it's really important to remember from both sides, being an educator or being a host, that it's an opportunity for all parties involved. It's an opportunity for the host to have you, same as it is for you to be there. And so additional considerations that I have, aside from the aligned audience and, can it serve you in the future, is kind of based off of your current business goals. And so there are different sections when I think about what your current business goal is, maybe for that year, maybe for that half a year or quarter, but is it visibility and awareness focused? Like, do you want to grow the audience that you're in front of, or educators or hosts? Do you need to, do you need your name to be out there? And so maybe that holds a higher value than like a monetary compensation would. Is it sales and lead focused? So then you're really going to want to make sure that everything that you're applying for, whether you're compensated financially or not, okay, can I make sales? Can I see a direct through line in this opportunity? And Heather hit on this too with connecting with other educators, but I just called it connectivity focus. So does partnering with this event, can you see strengthening relationships, whether it be with the hosts or the educators? Can you see the future trajectory of your business going in a positive way quicker if you are there, if you're in the room and you're making those connections with them? Genuine, of course. This is not be friends with everybody in high power. And then the last one is financial growth. So if you're in that stage where, you have a bottom line that you are not walking out the door for, then great. That's where you're at. So you're in a financial growth from both the event and future audience. So that's where, you would have to decline any that are not being paid, because that doesn't align with where you are right now.
That's so helpful. I think, one, you gave so many thought processes for people to go through when they're deciding. And I love that we had the two different opinions. And then of course, for those who are watching this full replay inside the sought after speaker system, I go into my decision-making process as well. So you've got plenty to think about there. I love how they framed this. Unpaid does not have to mean unprofitable. When you approach opportunities with clarity around your goals and your audience and your business season, you'll know exactly which stages are worth standing on. Next up, you'll hear from Amanda Smith, who brings such a refreshing, realistic take on speaker compensation. She reminds us that unpaid doesn't have to mean unrewarded. Sometimes the value comes in visibility, relationships, or the right opportunities that align with your bigger goals.
I've had keynotes where I didn't pay them because they came to me and they had this idea and I was like, this is a really good fit. What do you want to do? And they said, all I want from this is the exposure, the awareness. I want, the content is going to be amazing. That's going to be great for me. I could sign books afterwards. I could bring books, things like that. Speakers also, you can come with, hey, for this event, what am I willing to do? What can I make a really good return for myself? Or if I'm approached by someone that I don't know, that they're like, hey, we want you to come to North Carolina and speak for an hour and here's my fee, right? And then flight and hotel. I'm now, maybe later on in my journey when I can be a little bit more generous, and if I really love your mission and what you're doing, maybe I'll fly out for free. I don't know. But that's really where I've learned so much in the last 8 years is everyone's different. I'll give you another example. And I don't think she would care that I'm sharing this, but Sarah Schultz and I, she lives in freaking Minnesota. She doesn't live here. And so we created like a partnership of what she wanted to do. She has goals for her brand shift method program and this and that and the other, the content, the XYZ. She uses a trip to Dallas as like a little getaway for herself. And we made it to where she got XYZ deliverables out of coming.
Mm-hmm.
And so like, again, everybody is different. And that was not my idea. Like I asked her, hey, do you want to come again? What do you want it to look like? Do you want to get paid? Do you want this? Do you want this? And this is what we said. That, I mean, hopefully that's helpful. But
I think it's really helpful to hear all the different options. And it's been really interesting in this series. What I think is coming to light is that in our like entrepreneurial creative industry where we have these events that are hosted by individuals, it's a much different process of payment versus corporate speaking. And so I think there is a lot of room for conversation, for negotiation, for creative solutions to compensation. And we teach that a lot inside of my programs for speakers, but it is very helpful to hear examples. So I really appreciate that. I love how Amanda reframed that conversation around compensation. It's not one size fits all, and it doesn't have to be transactional. It's all about knowing your goals and your boundaries and your worth. Tomasha brings a powerful perspective on setting standards as a speaker, especially when it comes to unpaid gigs. Now, she's been on both sides of the mic as a speaker and as an event host, and what stands out most about her approach is the balance between generosity and boundaries. Tomasha reminds us that clarity is kindness, both for the speaker and for the host. When you're determining what events to take or not to take if they're unpaid, because like you said, you know, it's hard to leave our houses and to like travel. And it gets harder and harder, I think, the more established you get in your business. Yeah. What makes a speaker opportunity truly worth it, even if it's unpaid?
Ooh. Oh, yeah. I don't take many of them now, but I would say if I were to consider it, number one, like it just can't cost me anything. Right. So I think the flight, like I prefer to be approached with like, hey, like if you don't have the budget, I like to know up front. So I think that's my number one rule. If there is no pay, but it wasn't established up front that there is no pay, I'm likely going to deny it. And I think a lot of hosts need to know this. There's this thing where like we get the application, but we have no idea what the pay is or like what the compensation is going to be. And then you find out it's nothing. And I think that it helps both people so that people know going into it and you kind of know what to ask for. So that's my number one. I'd say two, what makes it worthy, it's like really good communication. I feel like you've been speaking to for a while and you know, like it just can turn into a circus. And so as long as we're clear, I know what I can get. If I can get the recording of my stuff, like I think that's important too. Like if I can get a recording of it, maybe get a little bit of social content, small things like that, transportation to and from the airport. It's the small things for me that like takes that burden off of me and my team that makes it worth it. Because I'm always open to serve and willing to be there. I just think that it's the small considerations for me.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of the people that we've interviewed for this series have said kind of similar things of getting the content and at least like trying to make up for anything that somebody couldn't financially afford to give. Like where can they kind of meet you halfway, which I love.
Absolutely. I think it's big when you look at that, like finding a way to collaborate more. I feel like it's turning around. We're still got some work to do in our industry, but I can feel it turning around right now.
Yeah, I say that every year. I'm like, I feel like this is it. Like people are getting it. It is hard. I feel like it ebbs and flows. I don't know if you agree with that. Like,
I think across the board, it definitely does ebb and flow. I feel like I have developed a reputation of, I just think that I don't get much of that on my end anymore because people know I'm probably not gonna.
You're like not gonna take it.
Yeah, and so like I think people know how to approach me if it is going to be something that's not that. Yeah. And I encourage other speakers to do the same. If you have an expectation or you have a standard, like I do, and I'm sure you do as well, I'm pretty open about that, and that's very helpful to hosts.
Yeah, it is. I definitely think that's like I'm glad you shared that. I feel like showing both sides because we are on both sides. So it's nice to know that like I think a big message that I struggle to get across to my students and that I try really hard to like put into all of my content is like conversations are good to have. Like you can just have the conversation, open the line of communication. Like don't be afraid to stand for what you want and what you need. And it's also like, it's okay to say no.
Yeah.
And it's okay to say yes.
Yes, it's okay to say no. It's okay to say yes. And I feel like every time I say no, I give someone an opportunity who may not have as much visibility as me, who may not have had the opportunity to be in front of that level of a crowd, right? And so I feel like I'm serving whether I say yes or no. Someone else is getting an opportunity, and I used to be that person, hoping that like the person they wanted, I was like number 2 or 3 on the list. And so we have to see that there is power in the yes, and there is impact in your no as well.
I love how Tomasha reframes what it means to serve. Whether she's stepping onto the stage herself or passing the mic to someone else, her decisions come from a place of integrity and intention. I hope that this conversation gave you a new perspective on unpaid speaking gigs. The truth is that they're not automatically good or bad. It's all about having a clear strategy, knowing your goals, making sure that opportunity aligns with your business and with your priorities. And if you want to go deeper, the full interviews for all of these speakers and event hosts are available inside of my course, The Sought After Speaker System. I teach you all about how to evaluate these opportunities, how to craft pitches, how to build talks that make you the obvious go-to choice as a speaker. You can find all the details at leilimari.com or in the show notes. Thanks for tuning in, and I will see you guys in the next episode. Thanks for tuning in to the Leicy Amati podcast. If you found value in today's episode, it would mean the world if you would leave a review or share it with a friend who's on their journey to becoming an industry educator or speaker. Want more support as you grow? Head to leilimati.com for free resources and more information on how we can work together. Until next time, keep showing up, keep sharing your voice, and keep leading with purpose.